All right. I was just going to leave it alone. I was just going to vibe here on Memorial Day and watch, probably I was going to watch, The Longest Day. They have it for free on YouTube. But damn, Jason Unroo had to come out with the revolutionary pan-Europeanism. He had to talk about that. So now I have to talk about it because it's got more holes than Swiss cheese. So we have to break this down because this is some very ignorant shit that he's talking about here. We got to do it. So hold on. Let me go ahead and share the screen here. There we go. Bada bing. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and get into this again. This motherfucker. Oh my goodness. Let's do it.
In this video, I will be explaining the differences between reactionary pan-Europeanism and revolutionary pan-Europeanism.
So this is like reactionary nationalism and revolutionary nationalism. Got it. Okay.
Reactionary pan-Europeanism is a sense of personal identification with European cultural hegemony. The concept is discussed in the context of European integration, historically in connection with hypothetical proposals. But since the formation of the European Union in the 1990s, increasingly with regard to the project of ever-increasing federalization of the EU, the model of a pan-European Union is Carolingian Empire.
Okay.
Which first identified...
Did any of y'all get a word of that? Like Carolingian Empire? It's like, bruh, why do you... It's like, somebody wrote that out for you. Because I guarantee, or you wrote it out later on and found it in like a book. My dude, come on, man. Really?
Europe as a cultural entity, as the areas ruled by the Roman Catholic Church, later known as the medieval Western Christendom.
Based Catholics, I guess.
And this is the moderate version of reactionary Europeanism. The very best example of far-right reactionary pan-Europeanism is Faith Goldie.
I don't care about Faith Goldie. Yeah. I mean, she's pretty irrelevant, and she also... I mean, she's kind of irrelevant, but, I mean, if you want to bring her up as if she's some sort of legitimate commentator or something like that, okay.
Revolutionary pan-Europeanism cannot be traced back to any one political movement, but has come and gone and returned here and there. Revolutionary pan-Europeanism is the cultural shaking off of the artificial and colonial indoctrination of whiteness. White identity is based on Western Christendom, but it lives beyond this.
Well, like I say, I mean, pagans have tried to bring it up too. Like I say, I mean, that's the whole thing. That's why, pagans really cope about it. Oh, Christianity made us weak and all this sort of thing. Like I say, there's that one guy that I showed that, end of civilization, whatever the fuck that nigga's name was. But it's like, okay, go ahead.
The reference to white is largely a British concept, yet the roots of whiteness go back to the Spanish Inquisition. The archetypal Crusader knight against the Saracen dark Moorish Muslim. This is the origin of whiteness. And this same whiteness is a continuation of cultural genocide. Jewish people thrive under the rule of Islamic Spain and even the Ottoman Empire.
Okay. What the fuck does that have to do with modern day? What does that have to do with modern day? Because it's like, okay, yeah, you bring up, oh my gosh, Jews were treated okay in the, in the Ottoman Empire and, in the Moorish circles. Yeah. How are they treated today? It's, bruh, you cannot just go back and be like, oh, well, actually, they were treated okay back then. Yeah. What the fuck does that have to do with today, man? And I know he's probably just doing this as an example, but it's like, all right, it's not going to go back that way. See, basically this whole video is let's put the genie back in the bottle. That's basically the whole point of this video. It's just from what I've seen of it. This is just basically putting the genie back in the bottle and saying, oh, whiteness, no, whiteness doesn't exist. We're going to undo what the Catholic Church did and what Protestantism did. We're going to undo all that. We're going to just go back like, I mean, at least maybe, 800 years or something like that, give or take. Are you or maybe 300? Let's be honest. Okay, let's go back 300 years and undo all this stuff. Go ahead.
Yet in Christian lands, Jews were always blamed for the theological reasons of whiteness. Less and less Euro people in the USA and Canada embrace the term white, yet opposition to whiteness is treated fringe.
Yeah, because the thing is, it implies what is white culture. That's the whole thing of it. I mean, what's whiteness versus blackness? You know? And of course, the thing is, he'll be like, well, I've explained this before, so I'm not going to go into it, and I don't have any right to. Look, whatever, man. Go ahead.
Revolutionary pan-Europeanism should be led by Euro-Americans or Euro-Canadians because the true answer is to go back to the places where these problems began. Why could there not have been radical change in the European lands rather than having to make settlements in the lands of others?
Okay, so the thing is, okay, so let's talk about this. You think that these people are going to be, you think that, Euro-Americans are going to be accepted in their lands like Ireland? He talks about Ireland quite a bit, like Irish Americans are going to go back to Ireland. Do you think that they're going to treat you as Irish, or you think they're going to look down on you and say, you're an American? Like I said, this is the same type of thing when I talk about with Dark Synovia, which I have a feeling this is what Jason Unroo's point is, because he talked to one LARPer on the internet that's within his inner circle. Because of that, he says, oh, yeah, there's plenty of Irish Americans that want to go back to Ireland. This is just LARP. This is fucking LARP. But like I say, I just want to make some content, basically. I just want to put some content out on Memorial Day. So this is why I'm talking about it. I would just ignore it. Honestly, I would. But it's like, no, come on, man.
The constitutional values enjoyed in Canada and the U.S. should be propagated in Europe, where they are overdue. There is nothing
where they're overdue. Oh, boy. I mean, this is almost, like I say, it's kind of ironic. This is almost like Garveyism. This is pretty much like Garveyism, like, yeah, return to Africa, return to Europe, bro. And it's like, yeah, we're all going to go back to Europe. You know, we're all going to go back to Ireland or Wales or whichever, right? And they're just going to accept us as theirs? No. In what fucking world has that ever worked? Oh, it just... He's got this, I'm going to say this, and, I don't wish harm, but it's like, this is going to get people killed. I guarantee you, this is going to get people killed. If you think that they don't like, Arabs or whatever the case may be, imagine some guy who says, oh, yeah, hey, I'm Irish, bro. Yeah. Or they have, they have the Boston accent. Yeah. Hey, I'm from Boston. Yeah. Where's my car? I'm going to live here in Dublin. That's what I'm going to do. They're going to look at, they're going to look at you side-eyed like, nigga, what? Come on, man. Are you serious?
Chauvinistic about what I have said. There is no agenda to force this on anyone.
Okay. If there's no agenda to force it on people, then why are you bringing it up?
Are Irish. This is not white. If you are mixed European, then you are mixed European, not a white person. If you are English, this is not white. If you are Welsh, this is not white. If you are Scottish, this is not white. If you are French, this is not white. If you are Jewish European, you...
See, the thing is, how is this pan-Europeanism? What you're mentioning is Europeanism, but this has nothing to do with some sort of aligned Europeanism. That's the whole idea of pan-Europeanism. Like, we can all get along. We all have some common ancestry. We all have some common ideas about culture or about morals or whatever, right? That's the whole idea that Wignats talk about, right? Is this pan-Europeanism to defend Christendom, just as you were saying, as you want to destroy Christendom. What is this sort of... This isn't like I said, this isn't pan at all. This is like... This is just each country. Go ahead.
Definitely are not white. And you may not have Oriental ancestry.
Oh, boy. And why do you go into, like, the Ashkenazi stuff? Why do you go into the... Go ahead. I can't.
If you're Polish, you are not white. If you are Spanish, you are not white. If you are Greek, you are not white. There are no white people. Race does not exist. Ethnicity exists. Ethnicity is a common ancestry and ancestral collectivization. White pride is bullshit.
Well, the thing is, you know why people say that? See, the thing is, once again, you'll just say, oh, it's bullshit. Yeah, but the thing is, so the reason that exists is because there's this idea of white genocide. But people like you don't want to break that down. You don't want to try to explain it and try to say, no, it's bullshit too. But okay, go ahead.
White guilt is bullshit. Despite my distrust towards the very words Canadian and American, these words and even a few of the notions behind them are more capable of redemption than
I would love to see, like I said, I would love to see Jason Unroo back in the UK trying to live his life. It's like, can you imagine seeing Jason Unroo, 40 years old? Like I said, this dude is 40 years old. I can say something because I'm about to turn 36 here in about a month, or a little less than a month, I should say. This dude is almost 40 years old, having a mohawk, thinking he lives in the 80s still, or whatever the fuck it is. What is this nigga on? What is this dude on? Can you imagine him going through Cornwall, or I don't know, pick a place? Like I don't think he would have the money to live in London. Where would this fool go? Like I said, this guy does not talk one iota about the economics of it. About, Europeans, or, having to pay higher taxes and all that sort of thing in these European countries. The complete, like I said, this is just idiocy, frankly. Go ahead.
Whiteness, which can never be redeemed at all. Blackness has already been defined by black people. So
because I'm going to sound like a liberal here, but because whiteness was so bad and everything else like that, people like you get to justify what whiteness is, which doesn't exist and needs to be destroyed. But blackness can be defined by black folks, even though there are different tribes, in Africa, that you could go to. Like I say, you could talk about the Tutsis, you could talk about the Bantus, you could talk about all these, the Zulus, etc., etc. All the different tribes that occurred, all the different empires that existed on the African continent, which I admittedly know very little about, but they get to define it, and you get to say, that doesn't really sound fair to me. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't know, life isn't fair, but no, this is never going to happen, all right? This is the whole idea, like I say, with blackness too. It's like, you think that colorism doesn't exist? It's like, that light-skinned brother versus the dark-skinned brother? Go ahead.
I've already said a lot about blackness, and I have no interest in going further into something that's really not my place to say much, other than what I have already said many times before. Blackness is valid. Revolutionary pan-Europeanism can go further into a Back to Europe movement. The Back to Europe movement is new, by the way. I'm not the best at explaining it, the Back to Europe movement. So I have asked Comrade Net to cover this part of the video for me.
All right. I don't have any beef with this next guy. We already put that down and everything. I don't have any direct beef against him, but what he's about to say is kind of cringe.
This is political proselytizing, nothing more. This catches on a lot more than most who first hear about this tend to assume. With mass amounts of Euro-Americans and Euro-Canadians traveling to Europe, not just in touring, but by going out and meeting the local population, statistically, many will wish to leave their settler homes in favor of European homes. A great many Euro-Americans and Euro-Canadians have already gone through this process. Doing this creates breeding room for black and indigenous...
Breeding room? Okay. So let's stop right there for a moment. We'll continue for just a moment. But it's like, okay, so, So many folks will go to countries. When? You mean in 2020 when there was a lockdown? When the fuck did they get to go to Europe? When the fuck did they get to go to Ireland? It's like... I don't think that's necessarily the case. Like I say, I'm sure that, European countries in general may have a fairly good standard of living. But the thing is, when they see the amount of taxes you have to pay and all this sort of, like I say, oh man, let's continue.
Indigenous people, as well as Asians, Arabs, and even Europeans that are of low population within the continent. Now,
So, okay. So Asians are not going to identify with their own countries. So if you're Filipino, you're not going to do that. Or if you're Chinese, particularly, you're not going to identify with that. Or if you're Japanese, or okay. All right. And then, of course, Arab and all that. So they get to stay because somehow these, like I say, apparently they're not going to have beef with the native population. So, or when I say that, I mean indigenous tribes and whatnot. They're not going to have beef. I don't believe that, but okay, you can.
of course, I'm making the application to the context of North America, but this applies to New Zealand, Australia, and the Zionist state as well. There's nothing to fear from this, because from the way I've looked at this, everyone's really just blown this out of proportion, like they tend to do everything else. Of course, then again, I suppose it's the way that things are packaged that makes the difference. Now, of course, what I've said here does not explain everything, but this is the actual general idea that you should have on this topic.
All right.
Jewish Europeans in the USA and Canada tend to be the quickest of any Euro collective to embrace revolutionary pan-Europeanism.
Wow. Okay. So he's kind of proving that. So this is basically like horseshoe theory here with like, okay, are you agreeing then that when white nationalists say that Europeans that Hebraic people are the ones that start these revolutions and everything else like that? The people like what's her name? Like I said, I don't even care. The anarchists and whatnot. That. Oh man, go ahead. Are you really trying to prove them right now? Okay, go ahead.
The Back to Europe movement is rooted in Jewish Euro-American descent against Zionism and Americanism as a part of a greater anti-colonial movement. The Back to Europe movement is not exclusively Jewish. There are many Irish Americans interested in this.
Who? Just because you talk with Dark Synovia does not mean that there are so many people. Go ahead.
Indeed, so much that the majority of those subscribing to Back to Europe happen to be Irish Americans and a growing number of Irish Canadians as well.
The thing is that would they be accepted in Ireland? I'm like I say, when I was talking with Dark Synovia, it's like, oh yeah, they're American, whichever. Like I say, that probably sounds more Scottish.
If you are a Jewish European, you may have some Oriental descent. Clearly, this does not apply to all Jewish.
Okay, wait a minute. Why do you use the term Oriental? I thought that, Jason, I thought you were more progressive. Why would you use terms like Oriental? That's something that's made up by white people. That's something made up by Europeans. That's why they come up with the book Orientalism. I know it's on my shelf here. I'm trying to think of who the hell wrote that book. Damn, bruh.
Europeans, but it does apply to both the Ashkenazi and Sephardi Jews. European Jews are not always super rich, middle class, or pro-Zionist.
Not all. Like I say, this is such pitiful. Like, you need to go back to Europe, because reasons. You're gonna get millions of Americans, and I say Americans and Canadians and Australians, to go back to Europe because settlerism. I don't think that's going to work out too well. I really don't. I mean, this is just imagine, like I say, and of course they speak about this in such, random word, like I say, if random tones and whatnot, and just random ideas. Like you would have to get millions of people to round these folks up. You're going to have folks who are going to be resistance fighters. They're going to break off and they're going to, start their own rival armies to keep you from kicking them out and sending them back to Europe. you're going to have even the ones that do get sent to Europe. And like I say, of course, what he says is this is voluntary. Oh, we don't want to force people out. Let's go ahead and continue. But yeah.
The IRA is not a terrorist organization.
Okay.
And there is no justifying the monarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Celts and Romans had an antagonism and in some ways still do.
Yeah.
Revolutionary Pan-Europeanism is about changing the deeply distorted roots of Christendom, not Catholicism as a whole.
See, this is typical of people like this. This is very typical, where it's just like, we don't like religion, but we don't want to destroy Catholicism. We just want to reform it. Just be honest. If you want to destroy religion, just be honest and say you want to destroy religion. Don't try to play this bullshit where it's like, oh, we really want Catholicism. No. The thing is that most of them will be like, oh, okay. Oh, screw Christendom, but Catholicism is okay. You don't want to destroy that, or you don't want to destroy Protestantism? A lot of folks are already going to be turned off by you, dude. But of course, morons like you who have this big galaxy brain sort of idea. Continue. We're almost done.
But the culture that it created with the Crusades and the Inquisition. How can anyone expect to end capitalism if we are unwilling to investigate the true roots of capitalism, which we cannot just render as saying historical feudalism in Europe? At the same time, capitalism was born out of European culture as well as the material seeds of feudalism in Europe.
Okay.
Revolutionary Pan-Europeanism is about redeeming European culture because by itself there is nothing wrong with it. It is the culture of Christendom being European culture because by itself there is nothing wrong with it. It is the culture of Christendom which came from Europe that must be removed. This is not about undoing Catholicism, because Christendom was in Protestantism too. The culture of Christendom.
So what are you going to do? Are you going to reform the Catholic Church or force the? Are you going to force it to change? Is that what you're trying to do? What are you saying?
Applies to new atheism and other forms of secular extremism. Now,
this is the only part I agree with. Yeah, new atheism is included in this. Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with that. That's kind of the point I was making. So yeah, I'll give it to you just because it proves my point. But other than that, I don't care about it. I'll be honest with you. Maybe that's arrogant, but yeah.
Now more so than even Christian fundamentalism. We see this as it feeds into the red libs. Whiteness began as Christendom, and it is the soul of
whiteness began as Christendom. Ooh. You can have links to it, yeah, but like I say, there's a more pragmatic view of that, but go ahead, Bacon.
The first world. Post-Christian European influences are the root of whiteness, as well as first worldism. Not Islam, not Judaism.
It goes to show, I'm sorry, but it proves the point that atheism is just about anti-Christian. That's all it is. And this is basically it. We're not going to say anything about Islam. We're not going to say anything about Judaism. It's just about Christianity. Christianity was this evil, like I said. I laugh to a point because it's as if none of these things, it's purely Christianity that did it. Not to say that, once again, I guess the East India Company was just influenced by Christianity. This is going to, like I say, the millions of people that will voluntarily go to Europe. These Americans, these white Americans who have been raised in American culture are going to voluntarily go back to, Ireland or whichever. Yeah, I don't think that Ireland wants to have all those American immigrants. You can go ahead and say they're Irish all you want to. They are not products of the Irish system, okay? Whether it's schooling, whether it's growing up there, whichever you want to say, they're not Irish. They're not. It's just like, oh yeah, white Europeans need to leave. That we have nothing to do with Europe. I'm going to continue to say this because it's true. Honkies in the US, Canada, Australia have nothing, zero to do with Europe. We have nothing to do with Europe. Nothing. And I'm going to say that because it's true. In terms of, how you were raised, the education system, everything else, the TV that you watched, etc., you have nothing to do with Europe. Nothing. You can go ahead and LARP about it all day and say, oh yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and be somewhat of a lib here and say it like this. But guess what? Black folks that have been in the US, you don't have anything to do with African nations. They'll like you for your money, but overall, they're not gonna, are they gonna see you as one of them? I don't know. I don't think they will, but go ahead, I guess. This is just LARP on such a deep level, and it goes to show just how deep the problem is. I don't even know what else to say about this. This is just pure LARP, and this will. I'm going to say this in all honesty, but this will get people killed. This will get people killed. I don't care what you say, but the idea that you're going to send all these folks, to Ireland or to France or whatever the case may be, and just say, oh yeah, well, I can't. I really can't get into this nonsense because it's unrealistic. It is completely unrealistic. Oh, look at this. This Coper. Look at this. Oh my goodness. He turned off the comments. He turned off the comments on the video because he's so confident in his beliefs that he turned off the comments. Like I said, that shows that's the signs of a coward. I'm just going to say it right there. That's the signs of a coward. When you can't even, have an honest dialogue between folks. You're just like, I'm going to put this out. And it's the same thing with your ideas on crypto, Jason. It's like, look, people are still going to use crypto. Just because you say, oh, well, it's unrealistic and it's shit. Yeah. They're still going to use it, okay? And I know that you want to cope about it and have all these really, like I say, just idiotic ideas where it's like, oh, conspiracy theories aren't real, bro. Actually, the Federal Reserve is, doesn't really have that much power, this and that. It's all about the government. The capitalist federal government is going to, come on, man. Oh boy. Like I say, this is why he'll still make some good points and he's good for a laugh. But I'm sorry, Jason Unroo, just admit that your ideas are not going to take place. They're not. Some revolutionary pan-Europeanism where white folks leave, and I know, oh, but or Euro-Americans, whatever you want to fucking say, are going to leave and go to their home countries. No, it's never going to happen that way. Never. European countries will be like, no, fuck you. You are not European. You don't have anything to do with Europe. The people themselves, even the ones that do get into Europe, are never going to be accepted. They will never be accepted by the whole of society. Some may fit in, the ones that have a lot of money, but in general, they're just not going to. And the thing is, it's like when Comrade Ned, like I said, I don't have any beef with the guy anymore, but when he says breeding grounds, and he says, oh, well, they're going to be breeding grounds, it's like, are you really going to prove, are you really going to prove people like Superpower Broadcasting who say, yeah, the far left and the far right are the same thing? When you talk about like Lebensborn, this is some Lebensborn shit, or more, excuse me, Lebensraum. Yeah, Lebensborn was the program where they're having babies in like Norway and shit. Lebensraum. Is this really like Lebensraum? Bruh. So yeah, that's all I had to say. Just cowardice. I'm going to go ahead and show you the screen though right quick just to show y'all. Oh, shit, wrong thing. Absolute cowardice though. Hold on, I'm about to go off. So yeah, and we take a look at this bit. Comments are turned off. Ain't that something? That's all I have to say on that. Let's go ahead and remove this. Yeah, that's all I really have to say. There's so much more that people could say, but this is... I knew it was going to be a shit show. But yeah, this is pretty bad. Anyway, hope y'all enjoy that. See you later. Goodbye.